Davidson Sportster Performance Series back in 2002 to defend his crown against the likes of hard-charging Jake Johnson and a whole lot more. Motorcycle racing lives on speed. Stand by for action. Welcome to Harley-Davidson Sportster Performance Series. Will Rogers Downs, Claremore, Oklahoma. Going to be a big challenge for these guys. I'm Dave Despain with Steve Moore here.
I'll tell you, Dave, you can win the 83 Sports Performance Championship. You can defend the title 1 year if you're in the top 20 in GNC points.
And who have the champions been in the past? It's an illustrious group, from Ricky Graham to Willie McCoy, who won it twice. The current champion is standing by with the third member of our telecast team. Let's go trackside to J.B. Norris and hear from Brian Smith.
Last year, Brian Smith put a #1 plate on his bike. Brian, you have to have a lot of pressure on you. Do you feel it?
Yeah, first race of the year. There's always a lot of pressure. I'm going to ride like I always do and hopefully win the race and start out leading the points.
Coming to this race, you have to have a lot of rivals. Who do you think is going to be vying for the title, trying to get that #1 plate off your motorcycle?
Definitely Jake Johnson. He was fast last year. He won two races, so he's going to be right up there. AJ Eslick, Scott Sherb, all the Woodman motorcycle guys. There's going to be a lot of fast guys in there, and definitely Jake Johnson. He'll be up front.
Last year, Brian was in the top 3 at just about every race. I expect him to be there today. Look for #1 to be charging towards the front.
Well, Brian gave us a couple of likely suspects in terms of challengers. Let's hear what they have to say.
I feel pretty good racing in front of a hometown crowd, and Freeze Harley-Davidson's built me a really good motorcycle for tonight, and we're going to go put it on top of the box.
Hopefully this year we could start off as good as we did last year. We got a late start last year with starting off at Charlotte, but hopefully we could start strong from the beginning of this year and be in the top of the points for the whole year.
Well, from Eslick in Oklahoma to Johnson from New Jersey, they've come from all over to challenge the Michigan Kid Smith for that championship plate. We'll have 3 heat races for the Sportsters. The first one is off and underway. And as we watch number 76 charging out to the lead, that's Vic McNally, who probably should make a point about this racetrack. Steve, it's been through a couple of evolutions today. Got a lot of rain this morning.
It did, and with the 25-lap Grand National Championship race, it's put a lot more rubber down. So these guys will have a black mark to follow anyhow, Dave. You won't see them up off the track in the cushion.
Memory test, number 57. Rusty Rogers, perhaps? As a matter of fact, it's a blast from the past. 1992 winner of a national championship race in Maryland. Rogers has been taking care of the family business, I hear, for the last 10 years. Now he's back in action. Looks like he's put on a pound or 2.
Well, he has. In the 6 years that he sat on the sidelines running the family business. Well, now Carl Patrick and Dan Dafter figured, well, possibly, you know, Rusty was a real charger back in the old days. Maybe he's matured a little bit. We can settle him down if he's still got that go-for-it style. And believe me, folks, it's still there.
Well, I was going to say, he's charging pretty good here. He has charged right to the lead, but he's got a young challenger. Into the top spot goes the Ohioan, KC Knodel. And you know a little bit about this kid. You've watched him come up.
Well, KC's done a great job through the amateur ranks, the amateur national championships, and his pro-am division. He was one of the top riders in the United States. At number 15 and 57, both race out of the F&S Harley-Davidson dealership in Dayton, Ohio.
There you saw Knodel hit that hole at the entrance to turn 1, saw his foot bounce up in the air. That is part of the legacy of that rain this morning. Keep in mind that the Grand National bikes, the Progressive Insurance bikes, have full-on race suspension. These motorcycles are much closer to stock condition, and so that rough track is an even bigger challenge for them. We'll take a break and be back with more.
Progressive is America's #1 motorcycle insurance company. I saved $800 by switching to Progressive. Getting a quote from...
Inside row 2 is Jake Johnson. He is a twice winner of this event. One of the guys that Smith says he's afraid of. Watch this start. Jake, number 14, gets the power to the ground, pretty good shape, and he leads the second row guys. He's 4th into the first turn. Now he's 3rd. Now he's 2nd. And as they come driving off turn 2 and out onto the back chute, number 78, Scotty Sherb, the Texan, has company, but not for long. Kids, that's how you do the first half lap right there.
Jake Johnson, I love that kid ever since last year when he first came on board in the Sports Performance Series. He's got the Rodney Ferris style. I mean, the kid tucks in, he gets his feet up early, and he's just united with the motorcycle.
But it's not easy because Sherb is determined to beat him. We're inside 4 laps to go now as the Texas veteran makes the move, coming off 2, got the better drive out, and now Jake's up in the loose stuff, sliding around a little bit. As we fast forward to the last lap, it comes down to the drafting derby. Sherb's got the experience, Jake's got the determination, and the benefit of the draft as they go to turn 3.
Well, you see, Jake's tucked in a little bit more than what Sherb is. Sherb would just pretty much nod his head. He wasn't wanting to get down underneath the paint.
And that perhaps is the difference because Jake Johnson keeping the wheels reasonably well in line and getting the power to the ground. And as he comes off turn 4, you can see how his helmet's right down there on the tank, and Sherb a little more upright. Didn't make any difference. Jake had him covered from the time he made the pass going into turn 3. So Johnson wins it. Smith's prophecy seems real. We go to J.B. Norris.
Jake, great race. You and Scott Sherb are going at it.
Oh yeah, I got a little anxious on the line and had to start where I really didn't want to start. But I got a really good start on the back row. Came out of the first turn in second, I think. But I thought I left Scott, but all of a sudden there he was, past me, and I wasn't sure if I should have drafted him going down the back straight on the last lap. But luckily I cut a good corner through 3 and 4, and he wasn't able to get back by me.
Indeed, he was not. Quick highlight of the 3rd and final heat. It was a Brian Smith runaway. There's the gap to A.J. Eslick, one of the guys that he had indicated he was concerned about. But I'll tell you what, if that's as close as A.J. gets today, Brian Smith's got him well and truly covered. Let's hear what he has to say for himself.
For the defending national champion, I'm sure you want to come out to your first heat race the next season and storm away from everybody else.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Kind of taking it easy. Don't want to rag on the bike too much before the main event. It's going to be a good race between me and Jake, I think. It's a rough track, slippery. It's going to be tough. I know that.
Tough indeed, and here are the Warriors about to do battle. Jake Johnson had the quick heat. He'll start from the pole, then Brian Smith, Rusty Rogers. Running back through the rest of the field, Casey Canodal, the young kid, Faulkner and Hart, the veterans. McNally's been around this game a long time. A little surprise to me to see Crumroy back as far as 12th. Perhaps he'll be able to go forward when we drop the flag on the main event, which will happen right after the commercial break. Back with more of the action from Oklahoma.
Hi, I'm Chris Carr, the defending
15, and in pursuit is Rusty Rogers, who was quite the charger in Grand National Dirt Track years ago. He's come out of retirement and is back in action and looking pretty racy out there as he tries to set up the kid. He's got a lot of experience, but it's a few years old. Does that really make any difference?
Well, it does. Now he's back riding a different type, well, not a different type of motorcycle, just a heavier motorcycle than what he did when he raced 6 years ago. Casey and Rusty Rogers are both trying to accumulate enough of advancement points to where they can come back the following week and run the GNC class.
And so we go into the final lap, a classic drafting battle for these basically bone stock Harley Sportsters that can change the wheels to run the good racy tires and change the triple clamps, and that's about it. And Rogers, coming off the draft, dives underneath Canodal, takes the lead through 3 and 4, and I wonder if KC will be able to draft him back. We'll know in a moment as they come off, bouncing and banging through the ruts and holes here at Will Rogers Downs. Down toward the checkered flag they come, and Canodal, the little guy, tucks in, but he's a bike length short. Rusty Rogers, welcome back to AMA Racing. He grabs the heat race victory, and we'll get a chance to hear from this guy as we go down trackside. J.B. Norris checking out the results and then talking to Rusty.
Well, you're back on the circuit at Harley-Davidson Sports Performance Race, and you win the first heat race today. Rusty Rogers, you got to be excited.
Oh boy, am I. I tell you, we worked on this 883 for 3 weeks. We didn't get all our points at Daytona to go GNC racing, so we worked our butt off to get this 883. I'm glad it rained last weekend. I don't think we had it all the way together, and I just can't thank Dan Daffy at R&D Machine and Carl Patrick Racing and F&S Harley-Davidson enough for putting this thing together, and Ken Wickersham for being a team manager and never losing faith in me, and my wife letting me come back and do this. Thank you, Kelly.
You're sort of out of breath. Can you go 12 laps in the final?
Oh yeah, 12 laps would be pretty easy. That was just an exciting race. I've been 6 years since I ran like that, JB, and you know how it is. You see me on the streets down at Daytona on my American Iron Horse, riding around putting, but going to top speeds are a whole lot funner.
Attaboy Rogers, good to see him back, obviously in winning form and determined to make a return to the big leagues motorcycle competition. We're going to return right after the break with more of the action from Oklahoma.
Intensity ×2. It's twice the points, twice the pressure, twice the racing at the 2002 Suzuki Big Kahuna Nationals. The original doubleheader returns to Road Atlanta May 17th through the 19th. Come see America's top riders, including Mladen, Hayden, and Bostrom, compete for 2-point-paying races for the title of Big Kahuna. Call Road Atlanta at 1-800-849-7223 or stop by your local motorcycle dealer for tickets. The 2002 Suzuki Big Kahuna Nationals, May 17th through the 19th. The original doubleheader, it's intensity ×2.
Formula One lives on speed. The cars work.
Davidson Sportster Performance class, and 3 rows are set to go. Green light flashes, and the charge is on to turn 1, unleashing a lot of horsepower. Scotty Scherb uses his most effectively. He's got the whole shot, and will lead him off turn 2. Of course, remember what happened to him the last time he led off turn 2. Somebody by the name of Johnson gobbled him up out onto the backstretch. This time, a little different scenario, but not a lot. This time it's the entrance to turn 3 where Johnson arrives, but look who's there to join the party.
Brian Smith's going to follow. He's going to stay glued to that number 14 motorcycle, and Rusty Rogers in the 57. He's not going to let him get away. And you got Victor McAnally, you know, coming up in there also. So it's not over. I mean, they're just going to play a little cat and mouse game here at the beginning.
I'm very impressed with the way number 57, Rusty Rogers, has handled this return to racing. He's doing a great job riding like the veteran he is, showing no signs of rust after the 6-year layoff. But the issue remains, who's going to take that number 1 plate away from Brian Smith? Can anybody do that? This kid is Rookie of the Year candidate on the Progressive Insurance Trail. And right now, he's top cat on the Sportsters as he gaps him by a bike length going down into 3.
This is all about youth up front here right now with them 2 young lions, with Brian Smith and Jake Johnson himself. Scherb and Rusty Rogers, now they're a little bit heavier and a little bit older than what these guys was. Physical conditioning on this rough racetrack, and these motorcycles weigh over 400 pounds. You got them bouncing and banging and going through the holes, Dave, and your forearms pump up. You get winded. We've seen Rusty at the interview at the end of his heat race.
And again, we emphasize the stock nature of these motorcycles. These are not tricked up suspensions with which these guys are battling the holes out there.
No, they're not. I mean, they are able to utilize the racing wheels and tires, but still you've got that weight. Well, Jake Johnson, he might weigh 110, 115 pounds. Is he strong enough to be able to manhandle this motorcycle for 12 laps? Will he have the muscle or the strength to be able to hang on to the bike for 1?
So far, so good for the 2 kids up front, Smith and Johnson, who continues to apply the pressure. The battle is for 3rd. As Scherb and Rogers get at it side by side. Rusty trying to keep those wheels in line, trying to get that good run at Johnson, then get tucked into that double draft. But yeah, Rusty's tuck may leave a little to be desired. Hope he won't take that personally. Johnson dives underneath, goes to the lead.
Well, the smaller you are, the smaller you can cheat the air, folks. What I mean is the riders are able to try to get down and crawl underneath the paint and try to make their body stature as small as possible to try to cheat the wind, so they're more aerodynamic down the straightaway. They're not like a big sail when they run off at the end of the corner.
Smith uses the low entrance to turn 1, and it works well. He goes back in front of Johnson. Meanwhile, a swap of 3rd spot as Scherb is able to come underneath Rusty Rogers and drop him back to 4th. It is a 4-man fight, as you see from the graphic top left. Knodel is the 5th place man, but he is a long way behind. It's these 4 guys for the win. They've been at it from the flash of the green light. Smith has led most of the way. Johnson came up and challenged him and remains right there. Looks like the 2 kids may have just a little edge on the veterans, but this thing is far from over. The draft very much a factor.
What I like about them, Dave, watch how fast they're able to get the motorcycle in the corner and get their feet back up on the pegs and start sliding back. You see Jake leading the race, and Brian immediately, when they turn the throttle back on to go the other way, they automatically pick their feet up and start sliding to the back of the seat.
And you saw Rogers there, had the good run into the corner, got it up there on the fuzz. The thing wouldn't quite grip, wouldn't quite turn. and he went from nearly second spot back to fourth. That's how quickly things change in this drafting game with the bikes as they run wide open, full throttle around this big mile oval and hopping through the holes left here from the morning rain. Johnson with the advantage for the moment. He likes the higher entrance into turn one. Smith seems to favor the lower entrance, and for the moment I guess you'd have to give the nod to Jake. He's got the biggest lead of the race thus far.
This morning after practice, I was talking with Rusty Rogers, and to put it in his own words, he was saying that riding one of these 883 motorcycles is like standing at the batting cage warming up with 2 bats versus the motorcycle he rode back in 1992.
A lot of weight here. A motorcycle never designed to do this, but one that performs very, very well. Look at Johnson. That thing is trying to buck him off at every turn. He's hanging on gamely. He's a little guy, so too Smith. They're coming up to lap the back markers in the field now as we watch Sherb right on the rear wheel of Smith. They go around the outside of the lap bike, and I don't know, Jake looks like he might make a break here.
Well, he was able to get by that lapped rider, and he went to the outside of it, and the other riders pretty much checked up, so he had an advantage there.
Steve, we're accustomed to watching these bikes like at Springfield on the mile, where the draft is really the difference. The bikes are so equal, and the guy who can use the slipstream most effectively can win the race. Less so the case here, huh?
Well, the corner speed isn't as great. At Springfield, the average speed is anywhere from 101 to 107. So you've got more momentum and rolling through the corners. Here, they're off the throttle, boom, 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 a lot more. Now they start picking up the throttle, and it's more of acceleration from one end to the other. You don't already have that big, all that momentum build up.
Nonetheless, the difference between the bikes remains minimal, so ultimately this class really does come down to the riders. It's a little like the IROC concept, I suppose, in the four-wheeled world. Very little change allowed to the motorcycle. The tuners don't have a lot of flexibility, and so it's up to the kids in the seat, and especially that right wrist.
This is a wonderful class for a training ground, because this is where you get the track experience, because these riders are able to ride this extra division out here today, and it gives them more practice time for when they hop on their 750cc motorcycle. It gives them more feel for the Harley-Davidson motorcycle itself. So it's just a good training bed for these riders.
Well, and given the names of some of those former champions like Ricky Graham and Eric Bostrom, obviously that training has paid off well as those guys have gone on to great careers. Here's Jake now putting a lap on Brent Souders, one of the Oklahoma boys in the field. He gets way up in the loose stuff. A possible break there for Smith.
Well, Smith was able to take a little bit of advantage of that because Jake moved clear off the groove and got up in the loose stuff. So you can see the different approach into turn one, where Jake's running the outside of the hole, Brian Smith's running the inside of the hole.
And who's got the best approach? We're going to know in about a lap and 3/4 as Jake takes him out onto the backstretch. They'll see the white flag next time by. Rogers perhaps struggling a little bit to hang on to these guys. Sherb must know that if he's going to do something with these two and have a chance to win it, he needs to get around one of them pretty quickly. Johnson determined to keep them all at bay. Has the thing crossed up coming out of turn 4, headed down toward the white flag. 1 lap to go for 2 of the rising stars of American dirt track motorcycle racing. Smith looks inside.
Rusty Rogers isn't about to give up yet either. He's going to bonsai at this last lap. He's got his eyes on third.
Here they come out onto the backstretch. This is where Smith needs to gather his thoughts, figure out the strategy, get down on the tank, and it's working. He's sucking up a little bit in the draft, closing up to within a bike length. Entrance to turn 3 will be critical, and Jake nailed it.
I don't believe there's enough time yet now for Brian Smith to be able to roll through the middle of the corner. He has to be right on the rear wheel of Jake Johnson coming off the corner.
Trouble for sure.
Sure breaks coming off turn 4. Rusty Rogers, he's waving his hand like he did something on purpose, and he was just trying to get out of the way.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything wrong with that. Checkered flag falls, and it was close at the wire. Jake Johnson held him off as Smith made the charge and came oh so close. But the New Jersey kid has won his 3rd career Harley Sportster performance race, and maybe a reluctant handshake there. We'll be back to hear from the winners in a moment.
You know, when I was a young man riding a Harley-Davidson motorcycle.
He did it.
What Jake did, he run a lower line off of turn 4 and run to the inside of the straightaway for the race to the finish. And Brian Smith up on the outside, too little, too late.
So Jake Johnson has won the series opener. We'll hear from everybody on the podium. We'll begin with the man who's back in action and finished third. Let's go to J.B. Norris.
Talk about that last lap. You were got a gift there, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to give a battle with him there for, what, 11 and a half laps. And I just think we're a little slack on horsepower. I believe I could stay with him in the draft, and I felt like the roll around the corner is pretty good, but coming off the corner, they just had me beaten. And he kept spitting some fire at me on the back straightaway, and I just thought these things were normal, you know, spitting fire and throwing bolts at you or something. But on that last corner, coming off the corner, I feel sorry for him. But you know, that is racing, and I'll take it anywhere I can get it. And third's better than fourth, so I'm happy to stand up here.
Congratulations, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Rusty helped make it an eventful 12 laps, for which we show you the final results. A couple of guys we expected to be factors ended up not part of the story because of mechanical problems. Knodel and Eslick both broke and finished 16th and 17th. Back to JB.
Congratulations, Brian. Great run. National championship. Good way to start it out. You're on the podium, but early in the race, you guys were back and forth, but I thought you had something for him.
Yeah, so did I, man. I could draft him anywhere I wanted to. I could lead it and lead it to the line. I was just following him for probably the last 8 laps, and I knew I could do it, and kind of went a little sideways off turn 4, and he dove to the bottom, so I didn't get a draft. Still about a half a wheel, I think he got me by, but I'll take seconds the first race of the year. We got a long season this year, so hopefully I can win the next one and go from there.
And for Jake Johnson, his rise to dirt track prominence continues. He leads the points. He hasn't run many of these races, and he's won more than his share.
Jake, congratulations. It was a war early. You guys were really going after it.
Oh yeah, it seemed like every lap I'd try to get a good run off 4, but it always seemed like Brian was able to get by me. So once I got behind him, I was trying to test him, see if I could draft him at the line, and there was like no way. So I seen him slip up and just tried to cut as fast a laps as I could and try to get away, and seemed to work. And I think we got into the lap traffic. That helped me out a little bit.
First mile win, it's got to be big.
Oh yeah, we were close to winning DuQuoin last year. We had a little engine failure, but this Maroni Sportster held together.
Congratulations, Jake. Quick final thought, Steve.
I'll tell you, Dave, it's going to be an exciting Sportster performance season. There's a lot of new personalities coming to the line nowadays.
We'll be following it right here on Speed. I'm Dave Despain for Steve Moorhead and JB Norris. We'll see you next time.